All right, I think we're back. Hopefully, we have some audio. Who knows? If you can hear me, let me know in our comments because something happened really oddly where I lost all audio. I'm not going to blame Becky, but I'm also not going to not blame Becky because she does nothing to do with the tech. So anyway, hopefully you can hear me. And we'll start over here. So welcome to the midweek update and at State Street Community Church. And we're so glad that you're with us on the second attempt for our midweek update today. And we're going to give you some updates from our community of what's happening at the church and the Pax Center and the green space and the gardens. And hopefully talk a little bit more about what's going on in the future. We have an exciting date coming up here a week from Sunday. We're going to reopen our building, but it's going to be very different, and we're going to have social distancing, all these kind of things. We're going to get into the details here in a little while. But let me try this again. I am going to add my partner in crime, Pastor Becky Crain, to this. Now, last time, she's the one that told me that things weren't working well when I added her. So let's see if things are better now. Pastor Becky, can you hear me?
Yeah, things weren't working even before you added me.
No, but you were the one that told me that things weren't working.
I was trying to get your attention over here in the queue, like, not working.
Yeah, I have an ability to ignore things.
Then I almost ran down the way. I mean, that'd
have been really funny, and it's so like me also just to be talking and not knowing that nobody can hear me.
No,
I got lots of things to say, Becky.
I think you said really important things. I'm really sorry that we missed it.
I got important things to say. Hey, nobody sponsors our podcast here, but I did for Father's Day got a Quip toothbrush, and I thought that'd be fun if I could do like a Quip, which means that my wife must be listening to podcasts because that's the only time I ever hear Quip toothbrush. Okay. I'm waiting probably for our anniversary. She'll get me something from like Sherry's Berries or something like that. Anything that's on a crime podcast.
Wow, that would be delicious. I like that. That sounds good.
Yeah. Hey, how was your weekend? You staying cool? Or how's your week? You staying cool?
Yeah, I think it's really hot out, but in and out of the air.
Nothing we can do. Hey, everyone. I see you commenting. Thank you, Ian, for telling us that the audio did not work. And now that it does work, hello, Bill Nelson. Hello, Jane Slater. Hello, Amy Warner. Good to see you guys. Thanks for streaming with us. Let's get into it, Beck. Let's do our birthdays and anniversaries real quick because it's important to us. If you have a birthday or an anniversary and you've given that information to us, we want to wish you a happy birthday and have a happy anniversary because it matters to us that you were born, and we're grateful for you. And so in this moment, we just want to let you know happy birthday. And that we hope you have a great week ahead of you. Now, the way we do birthdays is your birthday is either today or before our next recording. So in the next week, these people have birthdays. So let us wish them a happy birthday. Are you ready, Pastor Becky?
Oh, I'm ready. I was born for you.
All right. First one coming up. I think it's tomorrow, maybe. Happy birthday, Brooklyn Deckard.
Birthday. Glad to know ya.
Glad to know you, kiddo. Mike Ryan, happy birthday.
Happy birthday, buddy.
Jim Schringendorf, happy birthday, Jim.
Schringendorf, happy birthday.
Rachel Miller, happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Rachel. Have a great day.
Yeah, you have a good day, Rachel. Here's the thing with Rachel's is Ty gives, he's so funny about giving that stuff that I'm pretty sure he gave me fake dates. So it's probably not even Rachel's birthday. But if it is.
I told him happy birthday once. He's like, yeah, it's not really my birthday. I'm like,
yeah. Okay. Hey, Ian Lau, happy birthday. I see you in the comments, man. It's his birthday this week. Ian, happy birthday, Ian.
Cool.
Mark. Yeah. Mark Witten, happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Dan McDonald, happy birthday.
Happy birthday,
and little Faith Minnick, it is your birthday. You're getting too big. I can't believe it. Happy birthday, Faith.
Those minute girls, they're awfully cute.
Those minute kids, they're handfuls, but we love them. So we have 2 anniversaries in our community this week, and we want to wish them a happy anniversary. I know this first couple just got back in town from Florida. They're here now, and we're glad to see them coming up here soon. Happy anniversary, Jeff and Marianne Rollerson. I hope you have a great, great anniversary.
Congratulations.
And our partner at the food pantry on Wednesday Food Pantry, Ashley Hart. It's her and Ryan and Ashley Hart's anniversary. Happy anniversary, guys.
Happy anniversary.
All right, are you ready, Beck, for the question of the day? It's our question of the week, rather. This is our question to. Sometimes they're silly. They're typically silly, but sometimes they just tell you stories about us and getting to know us a little more. And the fun part is we love to read your comments on this in the comment section. If you've ever been on stage, whether it was in elementary school or high school or even as an adult, or maybe even you were given a presentation or something, and you embarrassed yourself doing something, share the story because it's fun to talk about the ways we embarrass ourselves. So I'll let you go first, Pastor Becky.
Okay.
Do you have an instance where you've really embarrassed yourself on stage?
I wouldn't say like really embarrassed myself. I mean, I have made some mistakes for sure, as we all have, but I typically don't get too embarrassed by it because they just make me laugh. But I was thinking about it, and I do remember when I was a senior in high school, I was in the stage production of Fiddler on the Roof. I was Huddle. Thank you very much. Very fun. But in one of the opening songs, we sing the song Matchmaker. You know that song? Matchmaker, matchmaker, make me a match.
Do you not know that this is my favorite musical? Of course I know. Of course, other than Hamilton, maybe. But no, this is my jam.
Sidebar, I'm watching Hamilton tomorrow. I'm getting Disney Plus specifically to watch Hamilton tomorrow, and I'm so excited.
Are you going to cancel Disney Plus right after or no?
Nah, we'll see. We'll see if we like it.
So you were Huddle.
Okay, so I was Huddle, and we were singing Matchmaker, and we did a whole dance number where we danced with brooms, right? We would do these things, and the broom was our dance partner. And on the second night of our performance, I jumped up with the broom at my side, or I guess it was a mop head or something. I don't know. Anyway, the broom head fell off while I was dancing, which not my fault. So nothing that I particularly did, but I had to spend the rest of the song dancing with a stick instead. And I just kept going.
When it fell off, did people laugh?
I think, my director later, he said, there was a bit of a, oh no, that wasn't supposed to happen. But then he said that I was quite the professional. I just kept going. He said that I did a really good job in that. So,
do you ever miss theater?
I do. I love theater. Even since I was little. Actually, I know I'm pretty chatty here, but in the 3rd grade, I played a flower in my 3rd grade production named Shorty. Maybe because I was the shortest kid in the class. I don't know. But I had chickenpox, and it was only on my trunk. And I didn't tell anyone that I had chickenpox because the play was that day and I wanted to play my part. So I went to school knowing I had chickenpox and played my part of Shorty the Flower because the show must go on. And I think I gave chickenpox to my whole, actually it was 2nd grade. I think it was 2nd grade. Gave the chickenpox to probably my whole 2nd grade class.
Time out. Mm-hmm. Time out. All right, we're doing a timeout here because this is. Did your parents know that you had chickenpox?
No, I didn't tell anybody.
Well, how did you know? It's 2nd grade. I mean, how did you know you had chickenpox?
One other person in the 2nd grade had chickenpox, and I had the spots on my trunk. They just hadn't expanded, so I had just gotten it, and I knew that's what it was, but I didn't tell anybody.
Okay, you keep on saying you had spots on a trunk. Were you an elephant? I don't understand this.
Your body is called your trunk, not your arms and legs.
I mean, like your torso or something, like your trunk. I've never heard of a trunk. Like your trunk. Because I'm picturing you were like this elephant in a play or something. You're like, oh, I had it on my trunk. I'm like, I have no idea what that is.
A flower. Showing the flower.
So you are the nightmare scenario for every person that is afraid that their child is going to get COVID at school.
No, I won't tell.
I won't tell. Did the play go well?
I don't have any memories of it not going well. But I was out of school for the next week.
And you think you really did give it to other kids?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. I know I gave it to my sister, but that's the same house. But yeah, I think I gave it to. But that's a good thing. I mean, that's it. You want to get chickenpox when you're little, right? I did them a favor.
Like people are saying this about COVID too, right? Having you're like the Alabama students that are trying to give each other COVID.
I saw that, like having a COVID party. No, I don't want to do that. And to be fair, I was 7.
Okay.
I was 7. So, but that just shows my commitment to the state.
Yeah, no, the arts. You are definitely committed. I've had many embarrassing situations on stage, to the point now where I just don't get embarrassed because it's just another day. For little things like walking up without my zipper up. Nobody was here except our team, but on Sunday I went up, and this isn't embarrassing. This is just Nate Loucks being Nate Loucks. I went up on stage and forgot my microphone, and we're only streaming right now, so nobody would have heard me, just like you didn't the first time we tried to record this podcast. And then they just had to keep on replaying what we call a bumper, which is a 30-second intro into the sermon for us to kind of switch the stage out. And and then I couldn't reach my microphone. It was anytime you have to do something really easy when there's a time like thing, it just takes so much more time.
So what's your most embarrassing performance or time?
Well, I would say it's for me, the embarrassing part is, probably the most embarrassed I've probably been here preaching is, Easter erection Sunday. You remember Easter erection. So it was the, so it was, that story is going to live in infamy, but, so this was what we now refer to as Erection Sunday, but it was the 5th service in 2 days. So we're doing 2 Good Friday and 3 Easter, and it was the last service. And Becky can attest, it's exhausting, isn't it? It's just for a week or two, we're just tired after it, just because that Easter weekend. But so I was going, I was leaving it all on the table. I was just going. And my main point that Sunday was resurrection changes everything, right? Because this is our faith. We believe that dead things can come alive again, that just because it is this way systemically or individually doesn't mean it'll always be that way in the future. And there's always hope. And so I was saying resurrection changes everything. And something got either stuck in my throat or something, but I had to go with erection changes everything. And, when you say that, I don't know if you've ever said something, Becky, when you've been preaching where it's like that didn't come out the way I intended it to.
Much more than I had.
Yeah, it did. But I'm just gonna go past it, because to point it out only brings out more. And so you have to make that split level decision, right? Of, am I going to acknowledge the thing that I just said, or am I going to move past it without it? Mm-hmm. Well, at this point, I'm starting to hear like the snickers, right? I'm starting to hear the people starting to laugh, because we just got a bunch of children in this church laughing.
Included.
And so I had to like say something, right? So the only thing I could think about saying was then, oops. I said, well, those change most things as well. And then we moved on. I've done so many other dumb things just thinking about it. I remember one time I was preaching, this is at Lamb's Chapel, and I'd probably read it or seen it like in another sermon recently. I was a youth group pastor at the time, and somebody was talking about, essentially faith derived from slogans, and we need to have a more robust faith than just that we can read on T-shirts and stuff like that. So I'm trying to make this point, and I'm really taking it hard to those with Christian T-shirts. Then I look out, and I kid you not, 7 people out of like 30 had Christian T-shirts on, and I felt like such an idiot because these are the people I love, and I'm like, and so that was just like a walk of shame back because I didn't mean to really, make a point to them necessarily, or to really make them feel awkward, and I did. Oh yeah, no, there's just been so many. I'm more apt to say something stupid than I am anything else. So,
well, you talk a lot, so the odds of that happening are pretty large.
Yeah, no, I do. I talk a lot, and I don't have a ton of notes, and so I do a lot of off the cuff stuff. So It's just you never know what's going to come out. But anyway. Yeah, so that's our stories, and I mentioned men's genitalia, and Becky gave her whole school chickenpox. So that's what you get from us. So let's talk about where we're at regarding COVID-19, because a lot of people are wondering about what to do and what we're doing and stuff like that. And I can tell you, I've never been more busy and stressed the last month or so trying to get ready for this. We are trying to do a diligent job to prepare the church and our community for this. And we think we have a path where this can happen, that we can meet again, that, we can worship and be together again. Because I don't know about you, Becky, but I miss everyone. I really do. I just miss everyone. But we also want to be responsible, and we don't want to be a part of the problem of spreading this, as we see in other states right now. Numbers are going up rapidly, and they could do that here if we're not careful. And so everyone's got to be mindful and careful so that we can do this and continue to have this, or we'll all just have to go back into lockdown. But anyway, if you want to know our plans for reopening and what we're going to be doing, first, it's important to know that we start back on July 12th, Sunday, July 12th. And we'll have 2 service times. They will be at 8:30 and 10:30. We have moved the late service back another half hour to 10:30 instead of 10 to give us more time to clean up and to disinfect and things like that. One thing that's not on our website yet that we just did is we just purchased 2 new purifiers for our sanctuary. Even though we're socially distanced, even though we're going to dismiss by rows, even though we're doing all these kind of things and we've got sanitizer everywhere, we still want to do everything we can. And there's going to be 2 purifiers with UV rays and just medical grade type of things in there that are going to also clean the air. And those should be here July 5th, and we'll have those set up as well. And we're doing everything we can. We've got a team that's picked out based on criteria that people, when they filled out their survey, whether they were going to be here right away, whether they're going to be willing to help clean up, these kind of things, if they don't have any other medical conditions and things like that. And I think we're well prepared for this, or at least getting there. But if you would like to visit us on that, just continue to pay attention to our page. We're going to put out RSVP links. Not that you have to RSVP. It will only just help us know how many to prepare for so that we social distance correctly. And we'll put those out starting Monday. And if you have any questions, just shoot us a text or an email or a message through Facebook, and we'll answer any of those things. Another thing is we're still going to be streaming online. And there is a good, at least 30%, maybe more, of our congregation that in their COVID-19 survey said that they don't feel comfortable coming out again. And we totally respect that. And there are members of our leadership team that are with you, and that will also be continuing to worship from home as well. So this is not secondary. This is not anything less than also just another way to contribute to the community by staying at home as well. So July 12th, if you want more information about our strategy and our plans, go to statestreet.tv/welcome back, and you'll find a lot more information there. Did I forget anything else, Pastor Becky?
Nope, I think that's good.
All right.
We're excited.
So how did you think how do you think the service went this last week? I thought you guys did a great job.
I always think it's good.
Yeah, if it wasn't, would you say it was a really stinker of a service, or it was
probably
terrible?
Not, because I just probably wouldn't, but that doesn't mean that I'm not sincere, and I probably just wouldn't say anything. Be like, oh yeah, it's fine.
I mean, I could tell you, there are sermons where I walk off, I'm like, that was not very good. And it's not, and oftentimes it's like what's really funny is some of them that, I've not, I was late to prepare for, I didn't start writing until Thursday or Friday or something like that. They end up being great. Some of the ones that I feel most prepared for, you preach, and it just wasn't, because it's not, as Pastor Becky knows, it's not always just about preaching content. It's about preaching content while also meeting the need of a community in a moment that is needed. And so, it's just one of those things where sometimes it's not the content that's bad. It's just, it wasn't the sermon that probably needed to be preached at that point. But I agree. I thought it was a great weekend, a great Sunday. And I enjoyed it. We're in a series, if you haven't checked in yet, to our new series. We're in a series called Breakthrough, and we're going through some stories in the New Testament about just different characters and different events where people have emotional and spiritual and mental breakthroughs about something in their life. And we're talking about, essentially in all of our lives, there are moments where we move from this one place to the next place where we thought we knew something, and then something happened. You meet somebody, or something in your life changes, and now where you were is no longer, or where you are now is no longer where you were, and something happened. You had a breakthrough there. And one of the things that we're kind of focusing on is in the beginning of John, John chapter 1 verse 5 says, "The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness did not overcome it." And it's this idea that essentially, even when things can look grim, that Christ provides for us a way to be in this world, a way of love, a way of justice, a way of kindness and compassion. And just like, when you're little, maybe you learn the song, "This little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine." That light can't be overcome by darkness, by hate, by greed, by pride, even though those things do seem to get much traction in the world we live in. Ultimately, in the kingdom of God, those aren't the things that win. And we also talked about the Samaritan woman, and that our faith isn't about going from outsider to insider, which is, I think, sometimes the pursuit of some people in faith is to go from somebody that was not in the faith to somebody that's in the faith. And now you're in the faith, move through the ranks of, people in the faith. So you want to be important in the faith. You want to do all of these things, and you want to serve on these teams and do all of these things, which in itself isn't a bad thing. But I think we sometimes have to check our motivation, but the goal is not to move from outsider to insider. The goal is to move from an outsider to a witness, that we are witnesses of the grace of God, that we are witnesses to the mercy of God, that we are witnesses to the love of God. And all the church is just people that witness to the better ways of Christ, that we are the witnesses that the better ways of Christ are ultimately the better ways of being in this world. That love is better than hate, that mercy is better than judgment, that justice is better than division and chaos. And so, one of the things that Jesus does is he often takes people that are on the outside, that people, our culture or the culture of the time or the patriarchy of the time or whoever is at the time has no use for. And for whatever reason, maybe they've done something, maybe they're just born into the wrong family or born into the wrong place. He pushes them, or people push them aside, and Jesus goes and gathers with them. and lets them know that the kingdom of God is theirs. And the kingdom of God, like a light in darkness, cannot be kept from people. It will shine with who and what it wants. And so that's the series that we're in, Breakthrough. That's a lot of rambling from me. Pastor Becky, what do you got? Anything?
I think that story, the John 4 story, it has always been one of my favorites because, you talk about bringing people that haven't, been necessarily included. But this is just another story of Jesus lifting women up too. And I think it's a big story for how Jesus interacted with women and, allowing them to be a voice for the good news. I mean, I love that, he's having this conversation and she's no dummy.
Yeah.
She recognizes him at first as, oh, you must be a prophet. And then talking more, she's like, well, almost like he's kind of putting it out there. Well, when the Messiah comes, we're gonna get these questions, kind of almost you get the sense of, is that maybe you? And he's like, yeah, it's me. And he reveals to her that he is the Messiah. And he hasn't even done that to the men in his circle. And yet he lifts this woman up as someone who speaks on his behalf. And I think that's significant. Yeah.
And I talked about it briefly, but I guess when I read this text, and I've read it many, many times, I really didn't get it until this time when I read it. He never condemns her. He does remind her of that he knows her story, right? That there's nothing about her that she can hide from him, and he still welcomes her in. And I think that's the important part of saying your 5 husbands and things like this, to let her know that he knows everything, but he doesn't, because sometimes, I don't know why, and I don't think I was taught this or anything, but when I read that, I read it as as this, when I was reading it before, I'd read it as almost this way for her to know that Jesus knows she's done wrong, so she needs to repent, and
that's how taught often.
And again, nothing against repentance. We talk here often about repenting all the time, but we want to make sure that the text speaks for itself. And I don't think that's the purpose of the text. I think, and this is, I think, goes to Becky, your point is, one of our struggles with building community as a whole today even is, people feel like they can't be who they are. And they're afraid that if somebody truly knew who they were or what they did or what they thought, it might not even be that scandalous, honestly. It's just different than the group, that they're not going to be welcome. And they're not going to have a place to belong. And so people suppress it. People hide it within them. And what I love about what Jesus does in that story is, he gives her permission to say, I know everything, right? I know everything about her, and everything about this woman. Jesus knows, and he still welcomes her into the community. And then she says, at the end there, the text says, come and see a man who told me everything I've ever done. And the implicit then ending to that is, and love me anyway. And I think that's the true power of the gospel, is that regardless, God loves. That's just the force of goodness that God is in this world. So anyway, looking forward to this weekend. We've got one more weekend live on Sunday, and then online. What's that?
And we got to start getting up early again.
Yeah, we're privately not really that excited about starting services at 8:30 again. This 10 o'clock service has been nice, but we'll do it, Becky. We will do it.
We will.
I want to.
Thanks.
I want to talk real briefly too about something that happened at the Pax Center this week, and because it's important to explain something, because it matters deeply to me that what we say we're going to do, we're going to do. Our word is crucial. It's for me, integrity to do what you're going to say. And we participated in a program. Now we didn't run the program, but we were the hosting agent for a milk giveaway program this week, and we had lots of people there. 70 to 100 cars of families waiting to get the milk that we were told was coming. And it never came. The truck never came. The people organizing the program don't know what happened. We weren't really filled in or briefed. But I do want to publicly say that I'm terribly sorry that didn't work out. B, really frustrated because that's not what we do at the Pax Center. We don't like to advertise programs. And then it just so happened that last night at our community meal, we're trying to figure out how many to make per community meal, because each meal costs us $3 to $4 to make. So you can't make an extra, 30 meals. Well, based on the numbers we have, we ended up having a huge amount of people last night, and we ran out of food at our community meal. And again, those are the things that I just don't love to do. And so if you've been at the Pax Center last week and you've experienced us not having enough, or experienced the milk giveaway and went away sad or upset or angry, know that we are with you, and we were frustrated just as you were. It truly was out of our control, the milk giveaway especially. Our community meals, we'll start preparing more food at those, so we'll be ready for you come next week. But again, I do apologize. We apologize, and that is not anything we like to see happen. And we won't do that partnership again in the future, because we cannot trust that will be provided to you. So I do apologize. Also, final thing, don't forget again, July 12th, 8:30 and 10:30 are services. All right, Beck, this is our last section. If you have anything, I'm sure you have, you're constantly learning. This is our show and tell section. If you've been listening for a while, you know that at the end of each episode, Pastor Becky and I talk about something we've read or learned or watched that we want to share with the group. We call it our show and tell. And so what do you have this week, Pastor Becky?
This won't come as a surprise to you, because I just started reading it, but I have it with me, so I can show you my this is my new read right now. I was waiting for it to come because it was on back order, but very good. I'm reading this one a little more slowly than some of the others, because he defines things before he gets into it, which I love. It's very it's just really good. But it's not an easy read, so I'm reading it a little more slowly. Last week I read
real quick, Beck, what's the book called, just in case people are listening and not watching?
How to Be an Anti-Racist by Ibram X. Kendi. Okay. And I've talked about him before, but this is actually the first book of his that I'm actually reading, that I've got my hands on, that I've started to read. I've listened to him in several podcasts, but this is the first book that I'm reading. And so far, I always say I always learn from him. Everything I've listened, everything I'm reading, I'm learning from him. And I appreciate that. It's good. It's not easy, but it's good. So this one will take me a little longer to get through. Last week I read Trevor Noah's book, Born a Crime, in like 2 days. So that was a little quicker read. This one's probably going to take me a couple weeks. So
yeah. Well, sometimes you don't, on books like that, you don't want to rush through, because you want to percolate with some of the stuff.
I'm only allowing myself to read so much a day, so that I have to kind of sit with it. So
sure. All right. For me, I am reading a book. I'm trying to limit my political intake right now, so I'm not listening to as many podcasts. I'm just trying to not dive too deep into my cynicism. And obviously every week we read stuff for our sermons and stuff like that. But the other book I'm trying to read right now that I started is a book called What to Do When Machines Do Everything: How to Get Ahead in a World of AI, Algorithms, Bots, and Big Data. And it's by Malcolm Frank. And it's pretty fascinating. I'm really kind of fascinated with new technology and AI and how it will impact the future, and how it'll impact our economy. And there is it's not just for the fun of it. I like to stay on top of this because I'd like to know how it will impact our production. We have a lot of production workers in our community, and it could, potentially lead to more job loss down the road, these kind of things. But just kind of studying or I'm just kind of on a pursuit of, obviously technology is great. When we go to the doctor, we love that there's modern technology, or at least I do, because it helps me get better quicker. 5 years ago, I had a surgery where they took out my lung, and I was out in, I think, 5 days, whereas before it would have been 2 weeks, and they did a cardiothoracic surgery, and they didn't have to break through my ribs or anything like that. And I was back to work in 2 weeks.
Jesse had that surgery.
Yeah. And so, things that would take a long time now are far less because of technology. But there is a downfall to some of it, right? We do trade things off. We know this with our social media stuff. We know that we can be connected and not be in communion. I think that this is one of the hard things with COVID right now is we're all on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram and stuff like that. And it's not that we're losing connection with each other. We're all on there. It's that we've lost community. And there's just something to be said to being with someone, about going to dinner with someone, being around a campfire with someone that you don't necessarily get on social media. So anyway, if you want to read it, it's What to Do When Machines Do Everything, How to Get Ahead in a World of AI, Algorithms, Bots, and Big Data by Malcolm Frank. If you're interested in automation and what that does to communities and economy and stuff like that. Also, I want to, we're going to be closed for a couple days at the Pax Center. If you need food, if you need any help, in the meantime, there are kind of what we call like food libraries where they're just open, where you can go at the Center Township Trustee. There's essentially a cabinet with food in it, or a pantry with food in it that you can just go and grab any time of the day. There's also one at the Civic Auditorium, as well as our Jack Street Community Garden. Produce is starting to come in there. Our gardeners put produce on the share table and in the cooler there multiple times each week. But also the front part going through the fence is our U-Pick area. That's available too. If you need something this weekend while we're closed, that'll be available to you. So I think I have anything else. Do you, Pastor Becky?
Nope, that's all.
All right, everyone. We will see you online on Sunday. At 10 o'clock here on Facebook and YouTube and all those places. And we will see you in person, those of you that will be joining us next week, next Sunday, July 12th. And if you're a Pax Center client, we'll see you next Monday at our community meal at lunch. So have a great holiday. Enjoy your time, and